let's get into the drill work. Okay, so now let's get into the drill work. So what we have here, right, is you're going to set up cones. Okay, you're going to set up cones, and you're going to use cones to build these zone areas on the field itself. Okay, and this is why I put that field in the beginning, and it is worth it, guys. I'm telling you, it is worth it if you're on a grass field to take a spray paint can out and get the tape out and do it if you have to. Even if you're using the tape just on the cones, right, to get some measurements, absolutely critical. It's going to give the guys the proper spacing, for their zone dropping, right? This is zone drop defense, guys. Okay, so start in the middle of the field, cone out the zones. I'll also give another tip, gentlemen. I like to make the seam curl, right? So I'll cone the seam, but I will make the curl box deeper. The back line will stay the same, guys, but I will move the front of the box instead of having the front of the box at like 6 yards from the line of scrimmage. Okay, I'm going to move it back so that the seam and the curl look like a sideways L. The reason why we do that is you see how these arrows are oriented, gentlemen? In our zone coverage, it's absolutely critical that when we're dropping with our backer that's responsible for the seam curl, that as they drop and they get width and depth in the zone, depending on how we're teaching it with quarterback and the receivers, we'll talk about in a second, we want them deep through that curl over the flat. It's very critical, so that way we don't get layered in the flat. Layered in the flat means, right, a lot of times offensive concepts, right, they're going to give you something low in the flat, something high in the flat, and we want to rally and pursue to a ball that's thrown low in the flat and make sure we're deep, denying the throw deeper in the curl window. Okay, so this is why those arrows, and you guys will see that I make sure I'm intentional the rest of the presentation with the arrows, so I wanted to just get that out there. So day one, you cone it out, you get your linebackers out there, middle of the field, have them set your base defense, okay, and you're just working a quarterback. So have a quarterback out here, maybe have some barrels to help your guys get lined up, and you're having the guys, you're training them with the drops. So they're going to explode to their assigned drop. And then they're working off of the quarterback's eyes. So as you guys see these arrows here, what's so important is that as these guys drop to get proper distribution, if the quarterback's shoulders turn, right, we are now going to tighten our drops and lean to that side of our box. Very simple. And for the sake of time, that is truly that simple. I want to move forward so you guys see the progression, but that is it right there. That's step one. Pushing the zones based on quarterback eyes and giving the guys the teaching on where their zones are. Critical. Okay. Now you're teaching situational football, right? 3-step, 5-step, and play action, right? So with your 3-step, right, what does your 3-step look like? Well, right, we train this for what we see the most, guys. And now in our conference at Coatesville, the Chestnut, we're seeing a lot of shotgun. So we're going to train the 3-step and 5-step from a shotgun alignment on the barrels with this quarterback kid. So 3-step is going to be right. He's going to catch the football right in his hands, and then the ball's up to the ear, and he's pounding in place, right? That's going to change the way we teach these guys how to drop in their zone, right? Teaching them situational football, right? Then there's the 5-step, right? So now, right, the quarterback's catching the ball, and now he's getting his 5-step. So now, right, that changes the depth and the width that we're immediately exploding out with, right, to train that situational football. Then we'll do the play action. Love doing that with the play action, right? He'll fake a run read. We have these guys, right, start to press downhill. And then now, I can't tell you how critical this is. This was one of the biggest differences with this, is that just the kids having the ability to see how far they have to get to in play action situation is so much different. I remember when I was even a linebacker and we get play action, right? And I would bite on play action, and then I'd drop like 3 steps backwards with my hips open and then square up again, like as if I'm responding to play action, right? And I'm like, right, like if we started here, right, and I pressed to here, I'd end up like right there, right? And that happens with a lot of your guys. You know what I mean? That when the it's out there and the lights are out. So right as they attack downhill, now you give them a good landmark so they can really see where they're at. So here's an example just of like some assignments for our second level guys. Okay. Right. So as you see here, like, this is 2x2 and 3x1. Right. So what we're going to talk about in the next portion of this drill is how do we modify the drill for what coverage you guys want to run and what we run. And whether it's, like 2x2 with a back, and whether it's 3x1 pre-snap, so that's going to make a big difference with how we teach it. So as we go to the drill, okay, let's talk about this, right? So now, right, we haven't left the middle of the field, so that's intentional, by the way. So we have not left the middle of the field yet. Now we have our base tornado, right? And tornado for us, guys, is just like, like palms, zone quarters, right, with some palms rules, okay? So, right, but here's our 4 underneath distribution, right? So for you guys that are really, looking at it here, right, we're dropping 8 right now, right? So it's just 4 underneath distribution, okay? Seam curl flat, hook curl, seam curl flat. So now, right, we trained off the quarterback eyes, the guys have trained off the zones. Now, with the recounting and everything that we talked about in the beginning, now they're getting a live look on receivers. So set the drill up with a 7-on-7 kind of format, right? Get your receivers in there, get it back in there, go 2x2, run your base thing, and have them drop right to their pass drops and their zones, with now having to keep in mind the receivers. So like a great illustration that we want to talk about here is the push concept, right? So here we've got, right, 2x2 set, ball in the middle of the field, and now you're getting the running back pushing to a 3-man side post snap. Everybody see that? Right. So just imagine these guys are running vertical, okay, or they're running like a flood concept, doesn't matter. Okay, what I'm trying to illustrate here is that the next step, as you're dropping and how you're teaching your guys, right, to relate to the route within the zone, now you've got to push the zones because you're now getting 3 to a side. And these red arrows, right, here's the red arrow of the back. Here's what we are expecting for our guys with the red arrow, if we can see that here on the screen, right? So now as we push, right, this back pushes, right, now we're going to push the zone, right? We're now leaning to the zone, right? Because now this outside backer, because he's now getting threatened, right, and he's getting out leveraged, he's going to have to expand. So we now can't create a massive void in the seam. So this is a great way to train this. We train it religiously, right? And this is what's going to allow your guys to have the confidence to expand their vision. I really do believe that vision expands with experience and confidence. And it truly is. This is a great way to do it because they're understanding the space management together. It's not just the inside linebackers working it down in Indy, and they know that they have to push. So the linebacker coach is always having them push. This is everybody working together to get the proper distribution. Absolutely critical. So here's a little example, middle of the field, guys. I want to show you the film. Right. So with 3-step, one of the things, and we're a little bit late here by the backer, but one of the things that I'm trying to communicate in 3-step is we want to be fast and lateral. That's what we teach. You might have something else that you feel passionate about with 3-step, but the point is that you're training the 3-step with the drill to try and get something out of it. So we're telling our guys, this guy, right, that with him being a true seam curl guy out here, right, we want that lateral, right? Now he's a little late, but I'll take it when I can get it, right? We get a little interception here. Okay, right? Because he's taking the lateral. Because it's three-step, right? Why lateral is because the receiver is going to develop to the zone faster. So we need to get width in the zone faster.